And we're live. Just as I checked, there's a text from AZ saying he's nearly ready. Now, apparently, he got punched in the face by someone. So it'll be interesting to see if he's bruised. So who's here? Highest, Fox of Fate, Megaleech, Luke, High, One and All. Just getting settled on in. Yes, how are we, one and all? Another exciting week passes. And what colour does my wheatgrass juice look like? Yeah, it kind of looks okay. Looks better in real life. Tastes pretty good though. Oh, we're going out the pictures of why. That's just what's the filter called? Prisma. The one of the million or so photo apps you can get for a phone. That one's called Prisma, and I thought it was pretty funny what it did to that picture. So I just felt like using a different picture because, variety is the spice of life, as they say. At least that's what they say at the spice companies when they want you to buy their mixed varieties. So Aidsy says he's going to join soon, which should be fun. By jings, there were some weird ones in the news today. So much to talk about. I think Aidsy's got a lot to talk about. Like I said, not least that someone punched him in the face. So, gosh, that's not good. And the poor folk in Sydney choking on the bushfire smoke. It's probably going to be us later in the summer. It's weird how we've missed it so far. It'll probably be us later in the summer. And that fuckhead from the Queensland Young Libs with his racist video. I love that they're so fucking racist. They don't get that it's going to blow back on them. Their hideous racism. Like these dickheads actually post. Ooh, sorry, I just realized something's here. It should be in the fridge. I'm just going to put it in the fridge. Lemon juice. Doing that. Yeah, they're so racist. It never occurred to them to not post this video of them being racist. It's absolutely mind-blowing. English was an incel he was trying to educate. The teaser he gave me was that it was the punch in the face was something to do with a homeless man's sandwich, as in he was trying to protect a homeless man and his sandwich, not steal a homeless man's sandwich. So, oh my God, that's a terrible picture. What the fuck is that? Jesus Christ, I hate you sometimes, Facebook. Let me just do this. What am I doing? Wow. My laptop is just giving me a bit of grief. To edit this post to what is it doing? This is so very strange. So very, very strange. That's so weird. Why? Edit. No. Okay, just go away. Go away then. Go away. Go away. Just go right away. Silly things. Yes, Haruhi. The thing with the Young Libs was very much them saying the quiet bit out loud. And I love it. I love it that they are so deeply racist that they don't get that the rest of the world's going, oh my God, you're a horrible little racist. Like, it wasn't a stealth video that someone outed them with. It was a video they posted on their own website. It's like, they're such fucking clowns. Oh, fuck, like that. New South Wales couple who lost their house in the bushfire hauled what remained Parliament House, but it's just a pity it's the wrong type of coal for scum. I don't know. I mean, it's really weird that how aggressive the Conservatives in this country are with denying climate change, and public sentiment is swinging savagely against them because everyone sees, no, these fires aren't normal. They absolutely aren't normal. We need to do something. And it becomes obvious, although it should have been ages ago, but it becomes obvious that people are talking shit. Look, there are a few Facebook hacks. Few Facebooks always get hacked because people always do dumb things and go to those bullshit sites that are your Facebook quiz. What flavor condom are you? I'm spicy jalapeno, by the way, my favorite sort of condom. And yeah, they go to these dodgy AF sites and give them access to their Facebook page. Of course, people get hacked because people have shit security practices. It's absolutely ridiculous. Hurry, how's Adani? The Adani coal mine does my head in because it's like really unpopular. There's this lie that it's going to provide jobs. It's not particularly economically viable. It's this weird fucking thing. It was, again, ideology above reality. It's absolutely bizarre. The noise about the climate change. Australia will face 50 degrees Celsius summer days unless more action is taken on climate change. Well, duh. Some parts of Australia already get there. What you mean is places where people live in significant numbers will get 50 degrees summer. In other words, it's going to be uninhabitable. People will die in great numbers. But okay, here's some clickbait. Couple paid $100 for abandoned car. Elon Musk bought from them for $1 million. Okay, they bought it in 1989. Buried under some old blankets was a 1976 Lotus Esprit used in the filming of the James Bond film The Spy Who Loved Me. It's the car that transforms into a submarine and fires missiles. And then Elon Musk bought it from them. There you go. Story's probably not true. I got suckered in by some clickbait. Anyway. I love it. He's a really sad, pathetic troll saying, oh, Australia's full of convicts. There is this absolutely brain-dead mentality, and it's usually Americans, though it's often Poms as well, saying to Australia, you convicts! I think it's an insult. Sad to tell you, Australians celebrate being convicts. So it isn't an insult. People don't take it as an insult. In fact, I got particularly excited when Mrs. Angry was researching my family tree and found one branch on my mother's side. There were 3 brothers who were transported out here because they were highwaymen. It was a family business. The 3 of them were highwaymen in England, and they were all caught and all transported. and then they became really respected members of this rural community. They became farmers and big landowners. Like, they abandoned their criminality and became very respected members of the squattocracy. Shields, yes, clickbait is a pain. Twitter in particular is bad at the moment for promoted tweets for clickbait sites, although Facebook's doing it as well. And it annoys the shit out of me. Like, you won't believe what this TV star from the 70s looks like now. Oh, look at this one. Oh, going, fuck off. Just fuck off. I hate clickbait shit so much. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, everyone talks about if they had a time machine, they'd go back and kill Hitler. But as some historians point out, probably no point, because the whole thing was more complicated than just Hitler. And Germany had probably been waiting for a Hitler-like character for 100 years. There were a couple who came close in the century prior to Hitler. But yes, the broad political sweep makes a lot of historians think the rise of someone like Hitler was almost inevitable. So even if, yeah, you killed baby Hitler, there would have been someone else. Carl, you had a bushfire near you today, and you're surprised I'm not talking about International Day People with a Disability. Is that today? You would let me check that. Third deck, International Day of Person with Disabilities. There you go. Celebrate people with disabilities. Absolutely. Like Aidsy, who'll be joining us soon. I'm sure he'll be happy to know it's his day, actually. Assuming he gets here. He did say he would. He'd be pretty excited for his day. So that's something big we can tell him when he shows up. It's your day, buddy. Lucky you. And then he can tell us how he got punched in the face. So visually, it's just such a big no. Oh my god! And that drop kick, George Christensen, ugly, lying, hypocritical, ultra-right conservative from Queensland, who argued against marriage equality, saying he's protecting traditional values. There's now been confirmed that he spent 300 days in the Philippines where he frequented sex clubs, which, again, objectively, I'm okay. I don't know why I said again, because I've been talking about it. But objectively, I'm completely okay with someone going anywhere and going to legal businesses that happen to be all about the naughty times. If you're not procuring underage trafficked children, and it's the thing you want to do it. As far as I'm concerned, there's a big question of, is he right to have spent so much time on the taxpayer's dollar over there? And also, where does the steaming pile of shit get off putting up moral arguments about anything when, saying sex clubs in the Philippines are not exactly traditional family. It's a completely okay thing to do, but don't make any arguments from a moral point of view if you're a dirty, sleazy sex fiend. You should just embrace the fact you're a dirty, sleazy sex fiend, which would be another thing Aidsy would enjoy talking about his life as a dirty, sleazy sex fiend. And yes, George Christensen found his wife working in this club, apparently, and I hope the two of them live happily ever after. But yes, I'm not going to do any of my own fake moralizing and saying, oh, it's disgusting that George Christensen went over there for sex clubs. You can do that if you want to. I literally do not care. But don't start. He needs to shut the fuck up with his whole moral arguments and defense of traditional values when his idea of a fun time is paying for good times at a sex club. Just embrace the fact you're a dirty sleazebag, George. Hurry, yes, Cebu. T-girls are beautiful goddesses. Cebu is apparently the big party place in the Philippines. So yeah. Hey, Angel of R6, die to respawn. Okay. Yeah, so it's it's just one of those things. And this is a weird thing. And somehow he's been able to suppress the details of the police investigation because the feds investigated because a word got to them. An Australian politician is spending an awful lot of time in sex clubs in the Philippines. And they say, and in the absolute best case scenario, that puts him at high risk of being compromised and being set up in a situation and make him a target for extortion. So they were investigating, was he actually involved in anything illegal? And apparently the decision is he wasn't actually doing anything illegal. He was just going over there and paying for a good time in sex clubs. But they still said, like, they provided a report to the Prime Minister saying, it's really, really dodgy that he's doing this because it really places him at high risk of being compromised. So there is that. Angel, been a while since you've been on the channel. Well, I'm glad you're here tonight. How do you knew Filipino living there? I know lots of Filipinos in Australia. And I visited Manila and went up into the mountains, Baguio. That's really nice because Philippines generally is nice, but it's really, really tropical. It is really the tropics. And they, it's very hot. And Manila just smells like rotting garbage. Actually, even clean places in the tropics smell like decomposition because all the plant material is decomposing. In Manila, it is literally garbage, though. It's garbage that you smell. Whereas I spent time in Darwin, which is really quite clean, and it also smells like rotting garbage because in Darwin, it's all the vegetation, so the nature of the tropics. The vegetation's constantly rotting, and so you've got a constant rotting smell. It's not great, but when you go up to the mountains, you're above all the humidity, and it's beautiful, and it's not as hot, it's not as humid, and it's not as stinky. So I do definitely recommend if you get a chance to go to the Philippines. It's it's traditional is to go to the beach places. Although last I heard they closed some of the most famous white sand beaches because they were getting too sort of polluted by tourists, and they wanted to close them down for a while to protect them and have them regenerate. I have not actually heard an update on that. But yes, so the stereotypes about the Philippines are the beautiful white sand beaches, crystal blue waters, and the sex clubs, which a lot of people go for. And I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be moralizing, but I just literally didn't go to the sex clubs. I was with my partner at the time, and she would have frowned on it. So, but it did go up into the mountains, up to Baguio. Very nice. Hurry, is it like Whittington, New Zealand? I don't know because I don't think I've been to Whittington. But No, it's not like New Zealand. I'll go out on a limb and say it's not like New Zealand because culturally and architecturally, New Zealand and the Philippines are really different places. So there is that. But yeah, Filipinos generally are incredibly nice people. It's really weird because it's like it's the most Catholic country in the world. I think that's literally true. I don't think I'm exaggerating. It's got the highest percentage of the population that are self-declared as Catholic. Why don't I look it up? Most Catholic countries in the world, according to Wikipedia. Brazil, Mexico, and the Philippines. Let's have a look. Good. By region, methodology. So they're saying Catholic Church by country. Oh, wait, this is all just random. Why don't you... Okay, they're saying Vatican City is 100% Catholic. Oh, I believe you. They're saying East Timor is 97% Catholic, which I did not know. That's news to me. That'd be the missionaries. Saying San Marino is 90% Catholic. I don't even really know where San Marino is. Saying Paraguay is 90%. Andorra is 89%. Croatia is 86%. Poland is somewhere between 85 and 92%, I think, depending on the methodology. Malta, Monaco, Philippines. There you go. They're saying Philippines is between 80 and 85%. So I wasn't far off. Philippines is like top 10 most Catholic countries in the world. They're very Catholic. And it is, yes. Bobo, I didn't get a goddamn thing from Telstra at the moment. I've had completely unreliable service from Telstra for 5 years. I was going to say years, days. Went out lunchtime Thursday, and I kept checking. Their website confirms they've had these outages, and they don't know why, and they don't know when they're fixing them ever since. Oh, I see an Aidsy. Wave if you're ready for me to switch on your camera, Aidsy, because you got your head on. You going to wave at me? No, he's adjusting his... Okay, now you're waving at me. Okay.
How you going, matey? How are you?
Good, man. How you doing? Good,
well,
good.
I've got so many stories to tell.
You were saying... Well, you told me.
I got punched in the face 2 days ago.
Yeah, tell the kids. Why did you get punched in the face?
Because a friend of mine who's homeless had his sandwich stolen...
Right.
By a guy, and I said, "Why'd you steal his sandwich?" And he turned around and told me to fuck off. And I went, "No, why'd you steal his sandwich, you miserable prick?" And then he stood up and pushed me, and then I've gone back a little bit, and he's pushed me again, and I've spun, and then he's hit me in the back of the fucking head, and I've turned around and hit him with my stick, and then he's hit me in the back of the head again, and I've turned around. He's punched me in the nose, pissed blood everywhere.
Good God.
And about 18 people caught it on their camera. There was video cameras everywhere. Ambulance came, the cops came. By the time I was out of the ambulance, they'd arrested him.
Ah.
How the fuck is that? So, yeah, that was my very quick getting punched in the face story.
So why did he steal your friend's sandwich? Is he homeless too, or is he just a jerk? Or
prick? He's just a prick. He's one of these guys that always has existed by the louder I shout and the meaner I be, the nastier I get, the more I get. Like, the more aggressive I am and the louder I shout, the more I get.
Yeah.
Now, what happens to these guys is they get older and older and older and older. And all of a sudden, they get less and less respect. There's a point to where they're around 60 where they're still getting it, and they're getting hyper aggressive because they're starting to lose it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
after that, the young blokes come over and go, "You're a fucking idiot, mate," and kick the shit out of them. And then they're just nobodies anymore, and they can't get anything or go anywhere. They can't get any money. They can't get any drugs, and they just end up on the street.
yeah. All right, so not good. That's getting punched. That's not good, buddy.
No, but come on, dude. How many times have I been punched in my life?
A few.
I mean,
But
realistically, growing up as a pooftering in ACT in 1980, in the
yeah,
1980s, come on, man. I've had more bruises, fucking bleeds, and fucking broken bits on me than you can,
yeah.
count hot coffees. And fucking, I've had a lot of hot coffee. I can do that much. Anyway, beyond that, I've got here my book.
Ooh,
I
what
went.
boot? Yeah.
I went to Officeworks and bought shitloads of materials to organise myself. And this one says Incels for Fun and Profit, a training program by Angry and Aidsy.
Oh dear. I just thought
Yeah,
if you drop that somewhere and someone just finds a book with the title on the cover, Incels for Fun and Profit.
yeah. And so I basically put down the beginnings of the program today.
Yeah.
In the 5 minutes that I got the phone call from you. I've been running around like a mad thing, getting ready, and I'm sorry I'm late, but
No,
I
that's
was
okay, man.
fucking getting it together. I had a lot on. I had a lot on today. And I just fucking ran out of time for everything.
Yeah.
I do have, however, bickies and coffee and water, so how
Okay.
bad can it be in the end? Really? Are we having Lisa?
Well, that's an unwholesome turn of phrase. It depends if she pops up, I guess. I haven't seen
That's
her yet.
what I meant, unwholesomely.
Yes, no, I know you actually. Everything's unwholesome with you. It's
Because she was gorgeous and in the middle of us, and I was thinking, I like that. In fact, what I think is she should be on this side, right?
if
And
she
I
showed up,
should be
that's
in the
where she'd end
middle,
up. Yeah,
I should be in the middle, and she should
yeah.
be on my side.
I see.
You know what
You
I'm
want an
saying?
eggsy sandwich there. I
Right? And I
see.
should be Happy Pierre, and
Happy
I should be
yeah.
going, so, Lisa, what do you think about the geopolitical situation out in Mongolia? And she'll say, well, Andrew's a turd and doesn't understand anything about being put to death by felt if you are a noble.
That's
For
true.
nobles not to have their blood spilled. If, however, you're just a townsperson, you have your fucking head put into a pyramid.
Mm.
Your skull put into a pyramid. Awkward.
Oh, yeah.
Does, however, send a signal to anyone travelling
Yeah.
by that city.
Yeah.
Do as you're told. So how the hell are you? What's going on?
Good, good. You just reminded me of Vlad the Impaler there, that famous story of when an army was going to invade his country. He just lined the road with impaled bodies, which somewhat demoralized the invading army. After 100 miles of impaled bodies, they were going, okay, this guy's fucking crazy. I'm not feeling it. Maybe we should turn around and go home.
I'm not there. I'm not with
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
I mean, look, the pastures are pretty. The cows are fat-ish. The local ladies are round, not in a pretty way. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, General, I think maybe do some burning and fuck off the
Yeah.
other way.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Pretty effective. And I did see a very silly webcomic that made me laugh, and it's just titled Vlad the Impaler discovers marshmallows. And there's Vlad standing there with a skewer and a marshmallow, and he puts it on the end and looks at it and goes, "These things are fucking great."
Brilliant.
It's just magic. It's just like, yeah. Vlad would have liked an old marshmallow roast. I think he liked putting things on sticks and setting them on fire.
Always, the story of Vlad always amazes me because he spent half his life in prison in Wallachia.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah, because he was a fucking nutter.
Do
Right?
tell, yes.
And would fucking kill people randomly. Right?
Yeah, that
There
sounds
was
about
one, this is a famous story. There was one diplomatic fucking gathering, a dinner held a cappella, and the flag was up outside in this a cappella, outdoor bistro dinner, and one of the guests wouldn't take his hat off as a sign of respect to the flag, and Vlad said, "That's okay, mate. Keep your hat on," and nailed it to his fucking head.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Vlad, they said for years and years and years and years, they said, it'd take 3 days to die by impalement. And modern medicine said that's bullshit. If you get impaled, you're dead in a fucking 20 minutes. You're fucking gone.
Probably
And
depends how
then
you do it.
they did some really clever CSI work and worked out there is a way to impale you with, you've got to be good at it, but there's a way to impale you and it goes and misses most of your important organs, goes out through your mouth, and you are alive for 3 days. And it would be a fucked way to die.
Yes, I think that's a fair statement.
Wildly fucked way to die.
Fair statement.
And if, this blows my mind, if they were feeling particularly kind to you, on the 4th day, they would paint you in tar and set you alight.
Just to end it all.
Just to finish it up.
Again, it's not particular. I mean, it wouldn't take a long time to die, but it's not a particularly nice way to die.
People throughout history have worked out really interesting ways to fuck people up.
Yes.
Just the human body has so many pain sensors in it and so many ways to get itself in a very bad way. They used to no, I'm not going to go there. It's horrible.
Yeah, no. We probably put people off enough. Hey, I'm going to lighten the mood. I was just looking at like news headlines today, and there are some wild and interesting stories. Like Elton John is touring Australia at the moment, and what he declares will be, he's doing a world tour. What he declares will be his absolute last tour, like his farewell to the music world. And he's in Perth, and he's about halfway through a show. 2 security guards were removing a woman from the crowd, and he said, like over the microphone, "Hey, you 2 security guards with the girl, fuck off. Let her up here immediately. Come on, you cunts." And he called them both morons and said, "You don't treat girls like that. Leave her alone, you turds." So he's just randomly called the security guards cunts. And
so what was she being thrown out?
That's still not clear. There hasn't been a public statement as to why she was being ejected. But Elton just saw these 2 guys manhandling her and dragging her out. And he didn't like it and told them in no uncertain terms to stop.
You are old enough to remember this, right? And
Uh,
I am old enough to remember this, which
yeah.
was Midnight Oil on Garden Island.
Oh yeah.
And there was a moment there where Peter Garrett grabbed
Mm.
one of the bouncers who were throwing people off stage,
Yeah.
and he's grabbed him by the neck
Yeah. Yeah.
and had a little chat to him and then let
Yeah.
him go, because this guy had been throwing people off a few times, and Garrett was
Yeah.
clearly not happy, grabbed him and blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 chat. The bouncer looked very fucking chastened, and
Yeah.
from then on in, people were taken off the side.
Yes. For any young folk or non-Australian folk who aren't familiar with Midnight Oil, they were very big in the late 70s and through the 80s, and still had a presence through the 90s, but they were biggest in the 80s. And they were I saw them live twice. They were very good live, and it was renowned for people would jump on the stage, and because Peter Garrett had his particularly bizarre way of dancing, and they were renowned for people would jump on stage, and he would normally gently encourage them to get back off. They've had their 5 seconds, and what I remember. Was it Beatbox, the Saturday morning music show on the ABC?
The big box, which was
Beatbox, not the Big Box.
Beatbox, yes, was the Saturday morning ABC TV show.
Yeah, and it was 3 or 4 hours of music videos and interviews, and they were catering very heavily to the Western suburbs kids who loved the oils, and they would play a lot of Midnight Oil and a lot of live stuff. And I saw multiple clips of Garrett going off at security guards who'd grabbed someone and hurled them. Because, again, he was like, I think the basic thing he's saying is, I'm in control of the stage. I'll handle anyone who gets on the stage. I always handle anyone who gets on stage. In the incredibly unlikely event I can't, then I will signal you. If you do anything before I signal you, that makes you the bad guy, and you don't do that. But it's funny, I saw multiple clips, like, the Horden Pavilion and fucking Festival Hall and stuff, of him remonstrating with security guards and just basically saying, fuck off, do not come on the stage and do that. There's a thing. Who's talking about Rage? Rage is still on. Rage technically is a nighttime show that continues through the morning.
Yeah.
Rage is weird because when it first started, it was like all they played was heavy metal, because I don't know, they thought that's what people wanted, and there was a pretty negative reaction to that.
No one else had any bloody clips. Heavy metal had clips, and so did I Want My MTV, and that was all it was.
Yeah,
no one had any clips except for the bananas, the pineapples at the dawn of time.
Yeah, Rage started in, I think it started when I was at college, so about 85 or 86, and it's been going ever since. And they have cheekily kept their lo-fi 80s video effect credits.
Well, they asked the people, do you want to change it? And
yes,
the 4 times they've asked them, the people have said, no, leave it alone.
Yeah. So it's very lo-fi 80s video effects in the titles. But sometimes it goes right through to like bloody noon on Saturday. I think that normally runs till 10 a.m., but sometimes it goes through till noon. So it's like somewhere between 8 and 12 hours of music videos.
There is, of course, the cultural phenomenon of Rage, which you'll know of which when I speak. And it's called the Just One More and I'm Going to Bed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you can end up, it's fucking sunrise, and you're going, fuck now, I might as well just keep going.
Yeah. My misspent youth, I after coming home from a party, and for whatever reason, colors seemed brighter and things that weren't moving seemed more interesting. Turning on Rage and the music videos, like 90s music videos, and just being transfixed by the TV. When they picked this just for me. This is just for me. They want me to see this.
They did.
And there were approximately 10,000 people spread across at 3 a.m. going, this is just for me.
This is just for me. They knew I was here. They knew I was in this dimension. And they've given me the KLF.
Yes.
They've given me the KLF because they're justified and they're ancient and they're off to Moo Land.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you would be convinced it was just you, and it's just because the programmer knew what they were doing. About 2 or 3 a.m., the really trippy music videos start. And
they did it deliberately.
Oh, yeah.
And it turns down at about 3 o'clock. It's time to fuck them up. And
it turns down at 6 a.m. when the kids wake up.
Yeah, at 6 o'clock, all the swearing stopped. And all the kiddies got up and they were going, yeah, bop with the bop and the woo bop and the bopping and the bopping and the woo bop, and we're not going to talk about penis and vagina action anymore.
Yes. And then they had the beatbox was Saturday afternoon, wasn't it? Or was it Saturday morning? I'm trying to remember.
It went across. It was it was midday.
And it was good because they had, interviews and vox pops and whatnot, and there'd be a theme in each week's show, and it was very heavily geared to suburban kids. It was like they basically said every music show's either just top 40 or for inner city hipsters. We need to do something that focuses on suburban kids, and it was good. Haruhi, psychedelic drugs, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why you would draw that conclusion. Kids, don't do school, stay in drugs. That's the thing. Are you trying to see the chat, are you? It's just really disconcerting. Your head's getting bigger and bigger.
Oh, my head got really big then, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Most it in the chat. Hang on. How weird is this? Check this out.
All right.
Check this out. Check this out. Yes, it's very important.
There you go. Dr. Aidsy.
So drugs. Psychedelic. Because normal people don't watch TV in early morning.
Oh, now you can read it.
Normal people don't listen to mornings on 774 ABC AM. Yeah, they do. Yeah,
it's weird. It's like, well, podcasts are just.
And Harry, I found you, by the way. I knew where you were. You were jumping through different dimensions, and it was the robot girl. Oh, I just gave away a major plot point. Fuck. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No one knows what you're talking about, so that's okay.
I feel like a cockhead now.
No, don't worry about it. Oh, man, you're going major plot points and spoilers. I tell you what's pretty good. And it's very hard to talk about without spoilers, so I won't do any. But the Watchmen TV series.
Oh, yeah.
It's set now in 2019, but in that same alternate universe that Watchmen is in.
Are they still looking for the killer of the Joker?
What?
Are they still looking for the killer of the Joker?
Joker has nothing to do with Watchmen. It was published by DC, but it's not like a DC superhero comic.
No, I'm not talking about the purple Watchmen. I'm not talking about the purple Joker with the green and the. I'm talking about the superheroes in the yellow cartoon book.
The comedian. No, they worked out who that was. That was Adrian Veidt, Ozymandias.
Yeah. But
And
Are
it's
they
because the comedian, through his contacts in the government, had actually discovered what
had
Ozymandias'
gone
plan
wrong?
was. No.
But
He discovered his plan to cause a mini apocalypse to bring the world together. Yeah, that's the central thing in the Watchmen comic and the movie version. It's interesting. The TV series is not in the movie universe, it's in the comic universe, because they made one enormous difference in the movie to the comic. In the comic, the thing Veidt created was like an alien tentacle monster that burst from an alternate dimension and sent out a psychic shockwave that killed millions of people. In the movie, they made it bombs in multiple cities around the world that got blamed on Dr. Manhattan. In the TV series, which is set now, because Watchmen is set in the 80s, in Nixon's fourth term as president. And the TV series is set today, but it's in that same alternate universe timeline. And so you can have a little bit of fun picking out the differences in their world to our world. Like Lots and Lots is the same or similar, but other things like literally all cars are electric. Everyone drives electric cars. There are other funny bits of technology that we don't have, but some of their technology is more primitive or has evolved differently to ours, and it appears their version of the internet is not as good as ours, but they have other technology that's better than ours. But it was one of the first big revelations to me is that it's in the comic book world, not the movie world. So the thing, the big traumatic thing that happened was the tentacle monster burst into New York, not the bombs in cities. And there's a few wild twists, things happening, and you're trying to, because it's set all these years later, some of the characters from Watchmen, the comic, are still alive, and then you're trying to work out which characters they introduce you to, and they all have to be older characters, like 50s and 60s and older, who was someone who survived the Watchmen comic. So that's a bit of fun. But yeah, it plays with time a lot, and it's exceptionally well done stylistically. Like, it's really well shot and well edited. There's a challenge. There's a thing in the first episode they use as a critical plot point, a real world event that happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1932. There was an incredibly successful black community. It was known as the Black Wall Street. They did very well economically, and all these black people were getting rich, to which the white people, including the government, did not like. And there was a massive massacre. The military were involved and the Klan were involved, and they completely destroyed this black community in Tulsa and murdered a bunch of people just because they were too successful and they didn't like these uppity darkies. You're saying Watchmen's Marvel. No, it's DC, or it was, DC's Vertigo imprint maybe. But Watchmen is a DC published story. It was, what was funny, because in the first episode they had this thing that happened in Tulsa because it's a pivotal plot thing, and I saw an article later there, all these white people actually discovering after that went to air that was a real thing that happened. The Google search history for Tulsa 1932 was this steady sort of blah, 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 blah. And then the day the Watchmen episode come out, there's this massive spike in people searching for Tulsa 1932 and finding out, to their horror, it was real. White people murdered all these successful black people and destroyed their town.
Capitalism just won't work if you're a coon.
That was
I mean,
apparently the mentality.
it just basically goes down those lines. Capitalism only works if you're white. You know,
Uh,
we've tried it
yeah.
in Africa. We've tried it in bloody, what's that place, China. We've tried it in bloody Russia. They're not really white. We've tried it in bloody Papua New Guinea. And, you know, if you're not really white, you can't have capitalism. I'm sorry. It's
Although
just the way it is.
the Russians are the literal Caucasians from the Caucasus Mountains, where the term actually comes from.
They're not really white. They've
Well,
got square fucking heads on them. You know, what's that?
certainly until the mid 20th century, they weren't regarded. It's funny when you look at the history, because again, white supremacists today who like idolize Northern Europeans and whatnot, their ignorance is not at all surprising, but it's like, oh no. In the 19th century, the English, if you said to an English person, you're the same as a Dane because you're both pale skinned, them was fighting words because I mean, they were at war with the fucking French, for God's sake. The people from one border to another couldn't stop fighting with each other. And there was no idea of, hey, we're both white. Why don't we work it out? Germany and France and Belgium and Austria and all the way through Central Europe to Eastern Europe. There was no idea of a common concept of a white person. That took until like the late 19th, early 20th century to start to develop. And various people earned their whiteness, like the Irish in America earned their whiteness by being bastards to black people, basically.
In Australia, when there was the big Navy tour of all the world's navies, the Japanese were given the status of honorary white for the 2 weeks that they were there.
Well, that was special.
Because
because we had segregation laws.
We had the White Australia policy, and of course the Japanese Navy was the second biggest in the world, and if they didn't like you, they could give you a fucking slap. So they were given the title of honorary white while they were here.
Yeah.
And not awkward at all.
Yeah.
However, the coons were kept on the American ships for the entire 3 weeks that they were there. Basically because they were worried that there would be problems if they were allowed off the ships. There was also problems because they were on the ships because they were undersupplied. They almost fucking starved.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing that's in Watchmen, in fact, because several of the central characters are black, and one of the guys is enlisted in the US Army in World War II, and they're in an all-black battalion because they were still segregating them in World War II. And the Germans were airdropping propaganda on the black divisions saying, why are you fighting for these people who hate you? You go home, they're going to treat you like filth. They're going like, we'll give you your own life here in Germany. Like, turn against them now. And that was the thing. That was the thing the Germans actually tried to sow division within the US ranks.
I was going to say they actually did that. They actually did that.
Yeah.
And they say that something like 50 African American or black soldiers did it and promptly got fucking shot. Or gassed because they were Untermenschen.
Yes, the Germans were lying, as it turns out. But
I know. What the fuck?
Shock. Yeah.
You know, we're only going to take a little piece of Poland.
Yes.
What's going on with that? We're only going to take a little piece of Czechoslovakia. Where's that? France. We don't really want France. We just want the tower.
Yes.
Happens to be in Paris.
Did you ever watch that British comedy Peep Show?
No.
It was a it was quite funny. It was a weird show. What they did is every camera shot was literally someone's point of view. Like that, if there were two people talking, you never saw a two shot of them. You always got the point of view of one of them. And then there were two central characters who were flatmates. And there's oh God, David, what's his name? Who's made a career since then of being like neurotic upper middle class British person. He's always on QI and stuff. But there's
yeah. I know David Wenham.
No, that's an Australian actor. Look, now it's got into my head. I'm going to have to look it up. Peep Show cast. David Mitchell.
The Mitchell Webb experiment.
Yes, Mitchell and Webb were and they had a sketch comedy series as well.
Which
Those
were
two guys were the lead.
Other guys. Wallum. I'm thinking of Wallum, not Wenham. I'm thinking of Wallum. David Walliams.
Walliams, the guy from Little Britain.
Don't want one.
Yeah. But Peep Show was pretty funny. Also, a key cast member was Olivia Colman, who has since won an Academy Award for her acting.
She didn't deserve it. Beyonce deserved it. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you finish. Angry.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you finish, angry. But Beyonce deserves that Academy Award.
And by coincidence, one of the characters, Webb's character's name was Jeremy, and there's a famous little conversation between them that's often used as a meme. Jeremy saying to David, like you promised not to tell, and David in his petulant voice goes, "Well, Hitler promised not to invade Czechoslovakia, Jeremy. Welcome to the real world." And it's been repurposed as a meme with Jeremy Corbyn's head being put on Jeremy and Boris Johnson's head being put on the other guy. And they've changed the text so that Jeremy Corbyn saying, "You promised not to sell the NHS." And then Johnson's going, "Well, Hitler promised not to invade Czechoslovakia, Jeremy. Welcome to the real world." But yes, and that's another thing. Boris Johnson is going to sell the NHS to the Americans. I cannot believe that, although I was talking to my English person friend who I get on live stream sometimes and put on the podcast, Kevin Logan, and I said, why is this not being shouted from the rooftops that the Tories are going to sell the NHS to the Americans? And he said, "Oh, it is a bit." And because Boris Johnson is there. Sorry, Boris Johnson's there. Of course he's there. Donald Trump is there this week because there's a NATO thing on. And I was going, okay, any journalist worth spit is just going to go, "Mr. Trump, do you look forward to American insurance companies being able to buy into the NHS?" Because Trump will just mouth off and say yes. And apparently he did. Apparently one of the things said, "Oh yeah, everything's on the table." So they just need to get the right soundbite from Trump, and then Labor should just scream it day in, day out. The Tories are selling the NHS to Donald Trump and the American insurance companies. And then they just have to start sharing the stories about the tens of thousands of people in America who go bankrupt every year because of medical bills. And the freaky thing is, rich people go bankrupt in America because of medical bills.
Got a story about this, mate. About this. If you get shot in America, right?
Yes.
You are not the shooter. You get shot.
Yes.
You are the innocent being shot.
Yes.
Will cost you your house.
Yes. That happened after one of those big mass shootings. You found people going on, those crowdfunding sites, GoFundMe, saying, please, I can't pay my medical bills. I got shot in Las Vegas at that big mass shooting. And if I don't raise $120,000, I lose my house because I got shot. It's like, what the
It
fuck?
costs around $250,000 to get shot in America.
But even basic procedures, you rock into hospital for basic procedures, and they'll bill you $10,000 to $20,000.
Yeah,
it's wild. And as you have said to people, if you actually tallied up the cost of your treatment, American style, it's way, 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 way into the millions of dollars.
Oh yeah, I could not afford to live in America. I'd die.
Yeah.
I would die. It's as simple as that. I'm not in a position to talk about it now, but later on, we're doing a thing where we're in a funny situation where I can't be seen to be doing a thing because I can't afford not to be a pensioner anymore.
Yes. Sure. Okay.
Can't say too much about it.
No, probably just let it go.
But I cannot afford not to be a pensioner for the rest of my life because the insurance companies won't touch me.
Yes.
Right? If you've got 14 specialists, insurance companies say, so, Mr. Fuck off, when they look at your file. So welcome to no, don't sit down.
Yes.
Do not sit, get the fuck out. Security. And it's again and again and again. I've tried to go into insurance companies and been shot at.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the old
by the SAS who knew I was coming.
because
I've had to look for snipers, for police snipers on the roof, which they missed because it'd be too expensive to hit me.
Yes. So they don't want to cop the bill.
No.
I know Safa asking, would it be legal under UK legislation for the Tories to sell off? That's the point. If they get the majority, which they clearly think they're going to, they'll just pass new legislation. It's that simple. When you're the majority party, you just pass new legislation. And it's clear the Tories think they will. I just have this sneaking suspicion the polling in the UK is absolutely untrustworthy. Like, it's going overwhelmingly in favour of the Tories. But I just think it's really untrustworthy. I mean, you've got to be realistic and say the most likely outcome in this upcoming election, which is like 12th of December, so it's Thursday next week, not this coming Thursday, but the following one. By far the most likely outcome is the Tories get a majority and then they lay absolute ruin to England. There's a small chance something else will happen, but that's if you are staking your hopes on anything but a Tory win, the chance of savage disappointment visiting you is very high.
It's very high. And it's basically social. It's basically social. There's been such an emphasis on separation of class and separation of race over the last 20 years that the lower classes have gone, we are so displaced and so disrupted that we've had enough and we want them out. And the Tories have promised that they're out, and that's bullshit. That's not going to happen. What they are, however, going to do is going to make it way more expensive for you to live. The idea being that the people who the white guys don't like can no longer get medical attention. I was talking to an American friend of mine once.
Right.
And my American friend of mine and I were talking about our similar experiences in healthcare.
Yeah.
And my American friend said healthcare over there is hideously expensive.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the right job, you
Yes.
just can't afford healthcare.
That's the other thing. It's tied into their jobs.
It's tied into their job. If you got the wrong job, you don't get healthcare. It's just crazy. You can't go and buy healthcare. Your job gives you healthcare. So anyway, you've got to get the right job, and your boss has the prerogative to bring your wages or salary down by it really only needs to be $100
Yeah.
to not bother to get you healthcare at all.
Yeah.
And
It's pretty brutal.
and you're screwed. You're
Yeah.
pretty screwed. If you don't have your Blue Cross, you're rooted. Now, they also told me that you can go to any county hospital and be seen for free.
Yeah. If you go to
However,
emergency.
yes. However, the county hospitals are so overrun, underfunded, overworked, and under-resourced that you are much more likely to die of an infection or a mistake
Yeah.
at a county hospital than your original injury.
Yes. Which is a
That's
fun little thing to
frightening.
expose yourself to.
That's frightening. Okay, so I said, look, in Australia, the situation is pretty simple, right? You go to your emergency room and you sit there and you wait for 8 hours, right? Because it's fucking free, right? You trust me, mate. 8 hours is not a long time to wait for several $100,000 worth of fucking
Well,
surgery,
yeah. And
right?
they do triage you. Like if you're spraying blood everywhere, they'll probably see you sooner.
They'll probably see you quickly, yeah. You know, if you're fucking walking into intensive care, how fucking embarrassing. They'll see you straight away. But yeah, if you've been shot, they'll see you straight away. But if you've got like a couple of broken ribs and a blood nose, you get to wait.
Yes.
Now, the thing about it is, I saw this poor bastard there once with a pilonidal cyst. Now, a pilonidal cyst is one that sits on your spine. It's right on your bum and it's right on your spine. It's actually quite dangerous.
It
And
doesn't sound good.
Huh?
Doesn't sound good.
Oh no, it's not good. And it doesn't start from dirtiness. It starts from a hair. And basically it gets bigger and nastier and bigger and nastier. And they suggest that you let it pop if at all possible. But these bloody things often won't.
Yeah.
They get more and more painful. And what they do is once your feet start to shake and your knees start to shake, they say that's hospital time. So in you go, and with a pilonidal cyst, they sit you down there and they go, "Okay, mate, I'm sorry, it's not a fucking class 1 thing. You're gonna wait."
It's just gross.
You go, I understand. I've been waiting fucking 3 months. I can wait another 6 hours.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, shake, shake, shake. And every now and again, every now and again, you'll see these people go, ah! And they'll go, and the nurses go, oh, really? And they'll come over and go, yep. And then they'll drag him into the triage room because it's burst. And it's not a good look because unfortunately our pilonidal cyst is not one cyst, it's 4. So the one goes, the big one on the outside goes, and there are 4 bigger ones on the inside. And you've got to cut these things, and then you've got to drag the bags out, and they smell, and they're just horrible. And of course, you're in these American bloody county hospitals with all these poor buggers with pilonidal cysts on, and every now and again you hear someone go and then you, oh my god! And it's apparently the smell is sickening. Apparently the smell is just vomitous.
I'm just going to share with all the users. AZ will, if he doesn't like the person sitting next to us on public transport, will have a conversation like this and keep getting more and more graphic with the detail until the person feels compelled to move. So, you know,
I do it all the time.
It is an effective personal space tactic.
Yeah, if I think that me and Angry need more personal space, I will fucking do this shit all the time.
Yeah.
And Angry and I have favourite stories that we tell. Which we won't tell now because they're favourites.
Because they are literally that make people not be able to be within earshot of us.
Well, do you know I've made 2 people faint?
I knew one of them, yeah. But
I've made 2 faint.
Doesn't surprise me at all. And it's just with true stories as well, which is the fun part, quite honestly. You're not making up weird, obscure graphic details. You're like, thing that happened to me was actual real thing.
So anyway, I was talking to my American friend about having to wait for free healthcare, and I said, look, you know, people complain about it, and I put them right, and I say, mate, you're about to get several $100,000 worth of free healthcare. If you want to go around the corner to the private hospital, put $1,800 on the front table there. They will see you straight away, and they will give you a room for upwards of $50,000 a night, and you'll be seen by doctors 6 times a day. At the end of your stay, which will be very comfortably fed and very comfortably appointed, you will probably get a bill for around $250,000. My American friend told me that, you know what, in America, you get to wait 6 hours and you get that bill anyway.
Yes.
You don't get a nice bed. You don't get doctors 4 hours a day. You don't get nurses 4 hours a day. You get nurses twice a day. And then you get a $250,000 bill. And I'm just going, fuck. The other one that I've heard, which scares me, is China, right?
Oh yeah.
China has universal healthcare, right?
Right.
And they're very proud of their universal healthcare, and so they should be. Now, the trouble with China is it's one of the most corrupt places on earth, and the federal government basically works out the numbers and then gives each province its whack, and the provincial leader takes out of that whack his whack, and then each prefect gets their whack, and each prefect leader gets their whack, and down and down and down it goes until each virtually suburb has to run its own ambulance service. They can't afford ambuli, but they have to buy them, right? So their only budget is to buy an ambulance, right? They can't run them, right? So when you're in trouble and they turn up with an ambulance, the first question is cash or check.
Yeah.
And if you can't afford to get your ride in an ambulance, you don't get to go. They leave you there on the side of the road.
Oh,
Die.
oh no.
And it's like, and there's no way around it because they
Yeah.
just can't afford to they just can't afford to run their ambulance any other way.
Damn.
There's been so many different inquiries into it that each bloody each boss
Yeah.
that's taken the cut
Yeah.
has hidden it and basically going, oh, it's not me, it's not me, it's not me.
Uh,
And of course, down at the other end, you know, the guy who's trying to run the ambulance is going, well, this is what I got. This is my check. This is what got signed. This is what's in the bank. And this is what I got. So I don't know where it's gone, but I didn't fucking get it.
yeah.
It's got to the point where the ambulance service in China is getting 15% of what they're owed.
Damn.
15%.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to run fucking service on 15%? It's a bit
Yeah.
like Australian education.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit of a nightmare when it starts going in that way. I mean, obviously, if you don't actually have ambulance cover in Australia, an ambulance trip is very expensive.
Okay, sorry. Please keep going.
Well, I'm just going to say it can if you don't have ambulance cover or are on unemployment benefits or pension, an ambulance drive can easily be over $1,000.
Oh, easily. And if you've got to have a helicopter, it's $8,000.
Yeah. But if you've got the ambulance cover, you're fine.
Do you know that this is weird? In every other state other than Victoria, your ambulance cover is provided under your healthcare, right?
Right.
So if you've got private healthcare, your ambulance covers in it.
Yeah.
So many people come to Victoria not knowing that it's not, and they get fucking caught big time. It's not expensive. It's only
actually, if you do it directly with the ambulance, it's quite cheap.
It's only like $50 for two, and for a family of four, it's only like $120. It's really cheap, and if you have that, then they can flying doctor you from fucking Switzerland to Melbourne for fuck all. And they've done it before. I'm just looking for my scissors. They're around here somewhere. I've seen them before.
Yeah.
It doesn't
I was
matter.
just looking up because David said, "What are you talking about paying in Tasmania? It's free." I looked it up. It is actually free in Tasmania and Queensland, but everyone else has to make sure they're covered. And to the extent of the weirdness that a passerby, being a good Samaritan, called an ambulance for an injured person, and insurance company tried to chase the good Samaritan and say, you called the ambulance, you owe the money for it. And the person's going, the what now?
The what now?
For the person I don't know.
In fact, now there is laws in Australia because there's a tragic event that happened in the 1980s where a woman collapsed in Sydney and she was choking, going blue and dying. And everyone standing around her said, I could help, but I might get sued.
Yeah.
And so there was a law passed in Australia. It was a federal law that said you cannot get sued if you help in any way someone who is injured. If someone is injured and you help in any way and you fucked them up, doesn't matter. It's not important. The Australian government will pay for whatever recompense needs. You've got to actually help. In France, there is fail to assist, and they're actually thinking about bringing that in here. Fail to assist. The other thing that's in Australia that's a bit odd is that if you so there was the thing about in America, if a burglar hurts themselves while they're burgling your fucking house, they can sue shit out of you for damaging themselves. If they slip on a skateboard, they can sue you, right?
They
in Australia,
can, although
the
they're not
commission of-
necessarily going to succeed.
in Australia, in the commission of a crime, if you pull some shit and you hurt yourself, tough fucking shit, buddy.
Yeah.
Not gonna
Whereas
happen.
in America, if you shoot an intruder dead, no one blinks. Whereas in Australia, it's an incredibly serious event, and you don't necessarily get prosecuted for it, but you get really seriously investigated.
Big time.
I know. Haru's all upset about the fail to assist. That fail to assist was actually a plot device in the final episode of Seinfeld, because some areas in the US had or proposed a law: if you don't try and help someone who's the victim of a crime, you can be charged with an offense. And so that was a plot device in the final episode of Seinfeld. When they saw this fat guy getting mugged, they just stood around mocking him and doing sort of Seinfeld one-liners about he was too easy a target and that sort of thing. And when the cops show up, he makes a complaint to the cops that those people just stood there and laughed while I was getting mugged, and they get arrested. And George and Jerry go to prison because they wouldn't help this guy who was getting mugged.
But I mean, don't you think we should have a fail to assist? I think we should.
If in terms of injury and illness, because it's bordering on manslaughter if you don't make any effort at all. A crime's different because although it's very rare, people have been killed in Australia trying to step in and help someone.
Yes.
And crime's different. I think the idea of telling someone they have to try and step in a violent crime is a bad idea.
But if you take a photo of a violent crime, that would be considered assistance.
And these days everyone does.
Right? You're taking a photo of a violent criminal to try and assist police. Okay? If you're not in a position to physically go in and help, like when I got punched in the head, right?
Yeah.
No one around could physically help.
Yeah.
Right? There was no one capable of doing that. And fair enough. Right? I accept that. But there were fucking heaps of fucking photos. There were heaps of people prepared to put in statements.
Yeah.
There were heaps of people who tracked this guy. They basically said he went this way, this way, this way, this way. The coppers just fucking chased him. They found him. They gave great descriptions. You know what? That stuff is not fail to assist.
Yeah.
Right? If I see someone getting fucking the fuck kicked out of them and I walk away, that's fail to assist.
Yeah. But, I mean, there was a case a couple of years ago at King Street in Melbourne, and it was like in Morning, not far off Peak Hour, I think. King Street in Melbourne is famous for the, let's call them tabletop dancing clubs, gentlemen's establishments. And
I wouldn't know. I'm usually in church at those meetings.
Some bikey dude was violently assaulting one of the dancers from one of the clubs, sort of chased her out and was violently assaulting a street and ran into traffic. And a couple cars stopped, and two guys got out and were going, "Settle down, big fella." And he was ripped off his head on meth, and he had a gun, and he shot them both and killed one of them.
The 40-year-old guy died, and the Dutch tourist, lived after.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was the Dutch guy. I know, you're right. There was a tourist there and a local guy, and one of them died.
The local young Dutchman, he survived.
Yeah.
And it took months for him to get better.
Yeah.
And Australian government was actually pretty sweet because they flew out his mum and his dad.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times to say hello. And the poor bugger, the 40-year-old, just failed to thrive. After his surgery, he just died.
Yeah. I think the bikie failed to thrive as well because when he's imprisoned, because it put the gang in the crosshairs, and they went, something has to happen to him while he's in prison.
In a fairly fucking extreme way, apparently.
Because he got all the focus on their let's call it an organization, a brotherhood.
All of their business dealings were suddenly made to the fore.
Because one of their dudes in colours ripped off his head on meth, shot a couple people. He was not popular.
No.
So
when I was in getting my balls cut off, there was a prisoner come in, and he had upset his gang, and they took his gang tats off with an angle grinder.
Nice.
On both sides of his arms and his back.
Yeah, they'll do that. That's actually one of the milder versions. There's one on there's a TV series in the US called Banshee, ran for about 5 seasons. It's very weird sort of crime show, very sort of modern day noir with this sort of very complicated lifetime criminal guy. In the first episode, there's this thing where the new sheriff for this town, who no one knows, gets bushwhacked by some people, and this guy tries to protect him, and it doesn't quite work, and the sheriff dies, and he just takes on the identity of the sheriff. So he rocks up to this town, says, "I'm the new sheriff," because he knows the new sheriff's dead, and he's a career criminal and all this other stuff. And so it's very weird. It's a very weird noir short show. But in one of the later seasons, there's that neo-Nazi white supremacist group in the town, and one guy who was like one of the main guys in the neo-Nazis who's trying to reform actually joins the police department. And he's been progressively getting rid of tattoos because he's got mad swastika tattoos all over him. And his brother's still in the Nazi gang and keeps telling him he has to stop with this bullshit he's doing. And he's going like, "No, you're the ones who are bullshit." And one night they get him in his house and hold him down. And they remove the swastika from his chest with a blowtorch. And I'm like, oh. So like, yikes.
Ouch.
Yeah, so that sort of stuff with gangs and incredibly violent removal of tattoos is a known bit of behaviour.
Oh, I tell you. Well, because I didn't understand what was going on, and there were police running up and down the halls.
Yeah.
And I went out for a urination attempt.
Yeah.
And there were police sitting outside this private fucking ward.
Yeah.
How shitty was I?
Yeah.
I was in a ward with 4 people.
Yeah.
And glass, because I had to be in the observation ward.
Yeah.
Because I'd done some things that needed observing.
You tend to be popular on the observing front in hospitals. Yeah.
They tend to put me straight in the observing ward now, just straight away.
Strap him down and observe him.
A fucking phlebotomist, which is a blood taker,
yes.
said, "Oh, are you still vaping?" And I went, "Well, yeah." And she said, how many times have you been caught vaping in hospital now? I went, oh, a few. You've been caught so many times vaping in hospital. I'm going, fuck off. She said, last count, me and the girls reckoned it was 18 times. It wasn't 18 times. It was not 18 times. And she said, yeah, no, because we're the phlebotomists. We go around to all the wards. We see all of the sisters.
Yes.
And we were interested once because you hide your vapes because you always have two on you, which is true. You always have two, sometimes four on you at any one place. You can imagine some of them go bang. And basically, the nurses have effectively got to strip search you, and they catch you all the time. And the nurses have this thing about, oh yeah, AZ fucking caught him with another vape, and they said I'd been caught about 18 times. Moles. Bloody count. I'm not saying I'm going to stop vaping. I'm just going to say I'm going to get smarter about it. I got caught 4 times last time I was in bloody hospital, and I had blood electrodes come out of my head, and they wouldn't let me go to the bathroom on my own, which was my plan.
Yeah.
Just hide a couple in the bathroom and just go. And then they wouldn't let me in there, and I got caught 5 times. And boss of the house was really good about it and gave me some lozenges. Otherwise, I wouldn't go crazy. Anyway,
look at this comment from David. I think all politicians should have to make their home addresses and phone numbers public information and wear GPS trackers. That is, that's not taking into account crazy people, David.
I was going to say, David, I like your thinking there, but I think only if we also supply them with 4 Norforce SAS.
Yeah. I look. There's a comedian I like. He's got a podcast. Well, he's a journalist who does a very light-hearted podcast called Behind the Bastards, and he throws out there, I think if you're going to be a politician, you're a bad person by definition, and you should have to have a camera on you 24/7. Like, whatever you're doing, whoever you're talking to, when you're taking a shit, when you're having sex, when you're whacking off, because honestly, everyone who wants public office is an awful person. So we should always know what they're doing. And if they want to get away with all the shit they do, they have to be on camera all the time. And I mean all the time. We've got to strip away the others because the guy's basically an anarchist. And he's basically saying, no, power's bad. Power's bad. No one who gets power is good. No one who gets power does good things.
I had an interesting
They might start off with good intentions.
I had an interesting talk with a copper who did my face punch. And
yes.
From the fact, did I tell you about the fact that I said I hit him with my stick, but I sort of missed? And I said, it's not a precision instrument. He said, mate, I use a baton every day. I know what you mean. Anyway, I also said, is that a camera you've got on here? He said, oh, yeah. I said,
yes, they have the cameras, yeah.
He said, what's that other thing? He says, that is a tape recorder. Yeah. That is an electric tape recorder which goes not only onto this, but goes to a server in the station and goes to a server in somewhere where the cameras are kept in Melbourne. Yeah. Where the camera where the cameras are kept.
Yeah.
You know, because, and he said, fuck, you know, when it came out, everyone was going, oh, no, I don't like that. He said, now I wouldn't be without it. I would not be without it. He said number of times, hey?
Fun fact, the cops can switch those cameras off whenever they want, and they can edit any footage that's been recorded before it's ever turned over for any investigation. That's fun. I know. I understand why they want it for their own protection, but if it ever records anything that makes them look bad, they're actually in complete control of if anyone ever sees that.
But wouldn't that come across as dodgy as fuck?
Yes, yes. That came out in the recent climate protests, because there's famously one picture of a cop who had a sticker over the middle of it that said EAD hippie, which means eat a dick hippie, and because it was in the middle on this raised bit, people thought he was covering the lens of the camera. They thought the lens was in the middle, and it turns out they were wrong. The lens is in the upper corner. It's like a pinhole sort of lens. But he still got into trouble for having a sticker that said "Eat a dick, hippie." But then someone looked into it and went, "Oh, yes, they're wearing those cameras, but they can switch them off whenever they want, and they can edit any footage before it's ever provided for any investigation."
Well, I don't know, man. I think that would look dodgy in a courtroom.
Of course, it looks dodgy, but it's not conclusive. It's not evidence.
But if you put that up in a courtroom, the judge and jury would go, "Mate, you're full of shit."
But you can't convict someone because you think they look dodgy. You have to have evidence to convict them.
But this is what I'm saying. If you were a copper who had 18 hours of non-stop video and audio recording, right? Non-stop.
Yeah.
Of video audio recording, it would protect you, and it would bloody say a hell of a lot about what they were saying too.
Yeah, it would protect you unless you were a criminal, which a certain percentage of the police are. It would protect you unless you were a racist, violent piece of abusive shit, which a certain percentage of the police are.
Absolutely.
Like the only people who are going to delete stuff are people who are guilty. But you cannot convict someone because you have a feeling they're dodgy. You can only especially a cop. There's very high bar for evidence with prosecuting cops. You can only convict them on evidence.
There is. But if you are a copper and you are trying to convict somebody, right?
No, it's not trying to convict someone else. It's trying to protect themselves from being convicted.
This is what I'm saying, right? Protecting yourself, you look like a shithead.
Yeah.
Right? If you are trying to convict someone else, then you virtually got fucking nowhere to go. Right? You've got your whole case is bullshit. Right? And my particular copper was basically saying one chick basically had him on his own for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. And later on, she's come back into the station with the fuck kicked out of her and been raped.
Yeah.
And she's gone, "Oh, he did it."
Yeah.
And he's gone, "Jesus." And it turns out that someone else has done the deed.
Yeah.
But he's done it. And she's apparently set this up to get, X amount, millions of bucks of money.
Yeah.
And he basically said earlier on he was a bit dodgy about the tape and the camera, but it's the new thing and you got to abide by the new tech, and the new tech is something that always helps. He didn't like computers when they came in, but he was only a young bloke, and now everyone uses computers.
Yeah.
And he said, "All right, I'll give it a go." And he said, "Fuck me. If I didn't have this shit on for 18 hours, he would have been fucked."
Yeah. Exactly. For a cop who's not corrupt, who's not violent, who's not a racist, who's not a piece of shit, the camera is a good thing. But a certain percentage of cops are racist, are violent, are corrupt, are pieces of shit. Because that's a certain percentage of humans are
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
That's not necessarily a reflection on the cops. That's a reflection on humans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
I
yeah.
can stop eating on the grunts.
Oh, so I like this one. Loogie. Fun fact, I've discovered the joy of not wearing pants. No, kid. No, 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 no. Behave.
Lurgy, why did you not back me on that one, mate?
I love this. David pointing out that Dutton was a drug squad cop in Queensland. So, for those who aren't familiar with Australian police, the Queensland police force is famously the most corrupt, and this is not an easy badge to win. But
It is
Queensland has
not an easy
famously
bet.
been the most corrupt police force in Australia, and worldwide drug squad cops are notoriously the most corrupt of all the cops. And Dutton retired from the police force before his pension, just very suddenly retired. And they tend to not investigate cops who retire. So we're left with this big cloud. Dutton was a cop in the most corrupt force in the country, in the most corrupt squad in any force, and mysteriously retired before his pension was due. But he's definitely not corrupt. He's definitely not dodgy.
Well, I mean, he joined the Conservative Party,
Yeah,
didn't he?
and he
So,
now has
really,
millions of dollars worth of properties on a copper's salary. So it's all above board. It's all
it's
above board.
legit. It is legit.
Yeah,
Right?
Fox of Fate saying, "Oh, why isn't it Vic Police who are the most corrupt with the mafia connection?" And New South Wales is corrupt as fuck. But it's
More,
not. Basically,
way more.
it is not an easy title to win. Essentially, oh, Haru's talking about St Kilda Police. This famously happened a few years ago. The cop station on St Kilda Road. There was, they were internal affairs, but they were really just reviewing paperwork. There was an audit that said they weren't filing their interview records properly in this station.
And their pay slips. It was also their pay slips.
And they were just doing paperwork, right? They were like nerd cops doing paperwork. And this guy came in one morning and there was a sticky note had been stuck to his manila folder of files that said, "Lift up the ceiling tiles in interview room 3." So he went and lifted up the ceiling tiles in interview room 3, and in the gap was guns and drugs and cash. And it's because it's never all the cops who are, it's not even the majority of cops who are corrupt. And the ones who aren't corrupt won't usually publicly out the ones who are, but they really fucking hate the ones who are corrupt.
Oh, yeah.
And someone at this station just took advantage of the fact an investigator was there and just put a sticky note on his file saying, "Lift up the ceiling tiles in interview room 3." It was like, oh, and the guns all had the serial numbers filed off them too, so they wouldn't be traceable if someone got knocked with them.
I'll tell you what, it's funny. I used to live with a police person.
Yes.
And I said, tell me about this. And he said, look, the first thing you got to understand is less than 2.5% of people in Australia commit crimes at all in their life.
Yes.
In their life.
Yeah.
Right. And he said, think of all the things you've done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you personally.
And he said, think about 2.5%. He said if it got up around 4.5%, it'd be an unpoliceable state. It'd be just unpoliceable. And he said there will always be sheep, which are important because they are our economy. There will always be wolves, and there will always be sheepdogs.
Yeah.
And he said, what you've got to do is you've got to put spiked collars around the sheepdogs, and you've got to feed them more. And he said, as soon as you've got that, the wolves don't stand a fucking chance. And he said, but so many places have fucked it up. So many governments have said, oh, the spiked collars aren't, really necessary. And, maybe they don't need so much food. And he said, all of a sudden, you've got a rum rebellion.
Yeah.
It's all of a sudden, it's over.
Talking about them spending money on the sheepdogs, i.e. the cops, you just remind weird thing. This happened when I was at college, as possibly before you got there, but New South Wales police, they passed a new thing that an official part of the police uniform that was only practical in winter was a leather jacket. It was a very nice, tough leather, sort of thing that would actually resist a knife, in fact.
Yeah.
Very tough leather jacket, very nice. And it finally got passed very late in the year. Like the cops wanted it passed in winter. But it didn't get passed till like October when it was starting to get warm. But I had to go into the Bathurst police station to file a report just after it had got passed that this leather jacket was an official part of the uniform and they didn't have to pay for it like they get it. And it was a little bit warm, but every single cop in the station had a brand new leather jacket on. The entire station smelled like leather, and there were little squeaking noises everywhere because of these brand new leather jackets. And they're all done. And I just thought, like, yep, no, you guys wanted it, and you don't care that it's too warm to actually be wearing those jackets. You're allowed to, and you're gonna wear them. God damn it.
Do you remember? Oh, I heard so many stories when I got punched in the face. Do you remember when they changed the uniform from light blue to dark blue to make them less friendly? Do you remember
that? No, I don't specifically remember that. No.
Okay. That was a myth.
There was a myth.
Right? They changed the light blue to the dark blue because vomit, blood, and fucking stab marks and stains, food stains and shit stains, and urine stains on dark clothing come through a lot less than light and sweat marks, right? Because if you're in a shootout, apparently you'll sweat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've only ever been in 4 shootouts.
Yeah, you can't really tell in this light, but this white shirt I'm wearing, a little bit stained around the collar from my sweaty neck, and a little bit on the armpits. Need to maybe bleach it again. But blood and vomit. That's an every.
I am proud to say that in the shootouts I was in, I only pissed myself 3 times.
The once when you actually got shot?
Once when I actually got shot, I didn't piss myself. I just fainted.
Too much in shock. There you go.
I just fainted. Boom, straight away. Down I went. And then my friend had to basically drag my ass out of there as fast as possible and wake me up to move.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, we've got to go back. We've left the dope there. And he's gone, we'll go back another day, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You know? And, we went to the bus stop and waited. Because what are you going to do?
Yeah. So we've got a howdy from Vidovic Arts. Howdy to you, Vidovic Arts. You're here for the last 10 minutes.
Hey, but if you
Oh, yeah.
can't
Look,
tell,
I
hey, man.
want to tell you some fun news stories. Well, actually, one depressing one, so I need to say something fun or weird after it. Greedy Smith from Mental as Anything dropped dead. Uh, he was still touring and playing live, and apparently had a heart attack just before a show. And he's only about 10 years older than us. That's really disturbing when
I
someone
didn't know that.
that just happened today or just got announced today.
Oh, he was one of my favourite singers.
Yeah, us being 80s kids, Mental as Anything, were very big.
Oh, my girl's mad at me.
That's mad.
I was going to use that in a movie where the Queen of England was shouting at magicians. And you don't ever see her. You see her skirt
Yeah.
and corgis, and they're all kneeling down and being yelled at because they killed somebody killed a civilian, and she fucking gets right up them. Because did you know that the British royal family has had a magician since 1066?
That makes sense. Well, you told me your whole story about magicians and the Queen and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Oh,
anyway,
you know what the royal family has now? A pedophile problem. Prince Andrew. Ooh, not good. Friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Ooh, photos of him with a 17-year-old at a Jeffrey Epstein sex party, and she now says that she was forced to go along with it, and it's like, yikes! Oh no. So he's in a spot of bother. He's in a spot of bother.
but aren't they always?
But I'll lighten it up from the Greedy Smith talk. Do you know, and I don't know why I think this is lighter, but this just is kind of funny to me. A variation on mad cow disease is infecting deer in North America, turns them into like zombie-like behavior before it kills them, and it's spreading pretty widely. And much as mad cow disease spread to some humans, they are quite worried that the zombie Bambi disease is going to spread to. And of course, the people most likely to get it, because you got mad cow disease if you ate contaminated meat or worked on a farm. And of course, you have all the hunters in North America who shoot deer and eat the venison. So we're now going to get crazy zombie rednecks. That's a movie. That's a movie right there.
No, it's not. It's fucking
Zombie
Tuesday.
rednecks.
It's fucking Tuesday.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. You know that. I'm
Yeah.
wearing my red. I'm going down trail. I'm going down my trail with my front muzzle loader, my back breech loader, and my minigun. Minigun's being taken by my horse.
Yep.
And I might shoot something, or I might just pack out the load so I don't have to bring it back.
I saw we were lucky there with a minigun just the other day.
I haven't finished speaking, sir. If you want me to finish speaking, and maybe you may be polite, now I won't have to open carry your ass.
You pause too long. It's like the thoughts take too long.
It ain't pausing, it's thinking.
There's an underrated Eddie Murphy movie from about 20 years ago called The Distinguished Gentleman, where he essentially cons his way into getting elected into Congress. Yes. And in fact, about the same time, a year or so after, was another really underrated film of his called Boomerang, where he's a real player, plays the ladies, and a powerful lady plays him, and he basically gets put into the submissive feminine role. Both of those
really cleverly done, because
really
it was about
good.
what happens to women in that situation.
Yeah, and
it's
really
exactly
underrated.
What happened, and it was really nicely done.
Yeah.
It was really underrated.
Yeah,
there were so many Eddie Murphy movies underrated. They were very clever.
And look, the popular ones are funny. There's no two ways about it. The popular ones are funny. Beverly Hills Cop, Trading Places, Coming to America, they're funny. But these two that came out one after the other, Distinguished Gentleman and Boomerang, they're really underrated. But just when you were talking about hunting with a minigun, there's this bit where to get money, he hangs out with NRA lobbyists, and they're going duck hunting with machine guns, and he's just standing there with them in
he's shooting with a shotgun, and these fucking two ducks go, and because there's soldiers, and they go crack crack, and he said, "Duck died of a heart attack."
Yeah, they're all firing machine guns, and he's just looking at all these people firing machine guns. Yeah, and he goes, "Yep, you scared it to death."
It's like,
Jesus. That one takes the piss out of political lobbying so hard.
Oh yeah, because he's got his secretary is sitting over across from him, and this beautiful woman is in, and she's lobbying him.
Yes,
and he has no idea what to say, and his secretary's fucking giving him instructions.
Talking points.
Hey Laura, how you going? I am so alive after being punched in the face. He's giving him instructions over the computer, and he's mispronouncing names, and his secretary's like fucking throwing shit at him, and like phonetically spelling things out.
Yes,
it was hilarious.
It's like, very
you fucking tool. How did you get in here?
He's a hustler, and all his friends are hustlers, and they all get jobs in Congress. Of course, they fit in perfectly because everyone in Congress is a fucking con man. It's like
one of the famous lines in Argo that John Goodman says, because they're setting up this this film that's going in to rescue these Canadians, and so he's sitting there and says, "So you want to be a producer? You want to come in here, not know what you're doing, do nothing, get paid for it, and then go around flying on trips doing nothing. That's about the size of it. You'll fit right in."
Yeah. Yes, that's a beautiful setup.
Beautiful. Yeah. It was a kicker. I just thought, yeah, that's it.
Vidovic is asking us if we've seen The Mandalorian. That's on Disney Plus, and I haven't got there yet. I don't know if you've even heard of that, AZ. Disney have their own streaming TV service now, and because they own Star Wars now, they've started the first live-action TV series of Star Wars. There's been a succession of very well-received animated series of Star Wars, but the first live-action series, The Mandalorian, which Boba Fett was a Mandalorian, so it's a different person with that same armor who's a bounty hunter, and everyone seems to like it.
In canon, were the Third Force.
Yeah,
the Mandalorians were beaten only because two separate empires ganged up on them. The Mandalorians were terrifying. They liked guns, and they liked fucking taking stuff and killing people. They dug it. And they were fucking frightening. And you didn't want to get in between a Mandalorian and a gun. Not a move. Yeah. And you didn't want to fight one because they would hurt you.
Yeah.
And so the idea of The Mandalorian as a series really fucking pumps my bones.
Everyone seems to love it, and they've also introduced Baby Yoda, which is all over the internet. And it's not literally Baby Yoda, but it's a baby of the species that Yoda is a member of that we know nothing about, of course. But there are a million Baby Yoda memes on the internet at the moment. So The Mandalorian is apparently doing well. Everyone likes it. The new movie comes out 2 weeks from Thursday.
Is that The Rise of the Skywalkers?
Rise of Skywalker, yes.
Now, okay, what was the last one called? Because I've seen fucking nothing of this because I've been broke as hell looking at
I've got them on disc. You've got to come. I love these new movies. I know Well, okay, you've got all the MRAs and racists are upset because they have strong female roles and strong non-white person roles. They're fuckwits, ignore them. But a lot of people who aren't fuckwits have problems with the new Star Wars movies, and that's fine because personal taste is personal taste. Personally, I love the first of the new movies was The Force Awakens, and
Yes.
the second is The Last Jedi, and
Yes.
the final one is The Rise of Skywalker. And what they have said is this will be, and maybe they're lying and maybe they'll change their mind, but what they have said is this will be the end of the Skywalker saga. And there will be any other Star Wars films will be about something totally else. Because it's a big sprawling galaxy. So many things happened. There have been stories that are hundreds of years apart in the Star Wars expanded universe. So they have basically said any other movies will be either completely outside the Skywalker story or only obliquely related to it. So
now, can I ask, because I haven't seen the last one, and there's obviously no spoilers now.
Yeah.
Is she a Skywalker?
They said no, but the person who said it might have been lying.
Because she got dropped off.
Yes.
At desert.
The big thing is, who are your parents? And she gets told your parents were nobody. And it kind of upset people that she wasn't a Skywalker or a Kenobi, but I love it. It's just because that's this bizarre fucking racist idea of bloodlines and whatnot. And the idea of the Force is that literally anyone can be a Force sensitive.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere and everywhere.
So a rising person doesn't have to be related to a previous Force master. But the person who told her was Kylo Ren, and he's the bad guy. He's not exactly trustworthy.
He's a Skywalker. He's a Skywalker, and he's not nice.
He's actually the daughter of Leia and Solo. So he is a Skywalker because Leia's a Skywalker.
Did Leia survive? Everyone fucking
did, and then sadly Carrie Fisher died.
Yeah.
So somehow they resolved that in this movie, which means I don't know if she dies off screen or whatnot, but they have shown her in a trailer. And what they've promised is, like, we love her. We're not going to cheapen her memory. There will not be a computer-generated Carrie Fisher. But they had, obviously, some unused footage of her. To me, it strongly suggests she's going to die off screen, but who knows?
I have a feeling there's going to be a ship blow up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. God, I thought, oh my God, because she died before The Last Jedi came out. And when I thought, God, when I go and see this, I'm just going to cry every time she's on screen. And I kind of did, and I kind of held it together. But now, because we don't know what's going to happen, but I'm assuming they kill Leia off because Carrie's dead. But who knows? It's going to be off screen. Whatever happens is going to be off screen, like say, like a ship blowing up or whatever. They released a little bit of this thing as like with flying stormtroopers and whatnot. Someone's going, why are they doing dumb shit like that? And I said, it's toys. They do that to sell toys, okay, and computer games.
My mind. These kids saw this movie when they were fucking 7.
Yes.
And now 40, they're going, oh, it's all fucked. And it's like, mate, if you go back and watch Star Wars, there are fucking plot holes you can drive trucks through.
Oh, it makes no sense at all.
Jedi Master in 8 hours.
Yeah, which is why I love the the robot chicken piss takes of Star Wars because
Yeah.
they're done by someone who loves Star Wars, but they
Loves
just
the shit out
really
of it.
draw your attention to the plot holes. And it's
Mm.
probably my favorite was when they had the thing of because they always have subtitles for R2D2, and they have the thing when they escape the Death Star when Ben Kenobi's just being killed by Darth Vader and Luke's being mopey mope pants. And he's going, I just can't believe Ben's gone. And Leia leans over and goes, really? The old man that you met 2 days ago is dead and you're sad? My whole planet just blew up with everyone I ever knew, but that old man you met 2 days ago is dead. I feel for you, buddy. And walks off, and R2D2 beeps, and the caption is, ooh, burn. Because it made no sense that Luke was so upset because he literally only met Ben 2 days earlier.
So all I'm saying is there's massive fucking plot holes all
Oh,
the way
yeah,
through.
absolutely.
You know, and you watch shit like Michael Bay movies when they're doing Transformers, and all you get to see is fucking cogs moving as
Yeah,
they fight. You don't know who's fighting who.
yeah.
You just see cogs moving,
Transformers movies are shit. They are
and you just
so
go,
bad.
"What's happening? Who's fighting who?" And
Yeah.
you know, and basically, I heard later that a part of the problem was the writer's strike happened, and he said, "Oh fuck it, I'll do it myself." And
That
it
sounds like Michael Bay.
showed.
Yeah.
It fucking showed.
Yeah.
Anywho, they also got Shia LaBeouf in.
Yeah, that was a winning move.
I
I'll tell you what.
have actually met some crazy motherfuckers in my time,
Yeah.
but he's special.
He
Anyway,
actually does
bloody.
seem special.
So my point being was that these people bitch about fucking Star Wars,
Yeah.
and you know you watch every fucking Star Wars. They're hundreds of millions of dollars each,
Yeah.
right? And when you've got that kind of budget, you're going to make mistakes. I'm sorry, you're going to make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
If you've ever seen the series called Firefly,
Yes.
by Joss Whedon, he
Yeah.
actually does this great fucking commentary showing you all the mistakes that they made.
Yeah.
And showing you all of the cheap tricks they used.
Oh, yeah.
One of them is that they get Elijah for, I can never remember his name because I'm a shithead. They get him in a pod to run away, and what it is they've got him in a cardboard tube, and they're putting bloody fluoro lamps and running them back and forward over him, right? Basically, because that was what, it was the cheapest way to get it done.
Yeah.
And he's going, I'm in this pod, I'm in this pod. And at one point, they had to get, what's that gorgeous girl's name? She has to climb across the roof, but she wasn't long enough, so that they had to build out a 20 centimeter a lintel across the ceiling so that she could fit. At one point they have a bank vault, and they build this bank vault, and it's all very tech on one side, and one side it's all dirt because they've built it next to the ship. And the ship's sort of sitting in the bloody set down in the dirt, and they've got this dirt line, and you miss it. You completely miss it until he points out that this whole one side of the vault is dirt, And films are like that. You miss stuff all the time. And then you get these pricks who watch it again and again and again and again, and they say, oh, no, see, this guy wouldn't have understood it because he never met the other guy first, and the other guy wouldn't have met the other guy. And so there's this long chain of events that, fuck off. And I remember once getting really, really angry at this guy. I was hungover.
Yes.
I had taken some drugs the night before, and they had not come down gently.
Yeah.
And I was not in a very good mood, and I had to work. I had to do the funny thing. I tell you what, when you're in that place, you're not in the mood for the funny thing, but you've got to do your job.
Yeah.
And he's fucking bitched about an initial trilogy, yeah. And
Yes.
I fucking yelled at him, "Listen, cunt, when you put your $400 million movie next to his
Yes.
$400 million movie, or make a fucking comparison and see
Yeah.
which one's better. How's
Yeah.
that? Because what have you fucking done?
Yeah.
Fucking nothing."
Yes.
And I just went, "Oh, it's probably a little harsh."
No, I know who you're talking about, and it's completely a legit thing to say. But having said that, it's bedtime. I'm going to say good night to everyone.
Oh, it is
Uh,
too. Hey, people, thank you so much. I'm sorry I was late. Thank you very much for letting us be on your device. Please, bloody submit yourself to Angry that way, and give him a like and a thumbs up and a
yes.
rating. And if you can, watch us on YouTube rather than the Blue F. If you're on the Blue F, tell everybody to come over to YouTube.
Yeah.
And we're going to have fun. Listen, if you ask us questions, we will totally fucking give you answers.
Yeah.
I am about 3 weeks away from, pardon me, getting the formal program of incels, because I've got sort of ready to sort of go, but I've got the
Yeah.
formal program of
Yeah.
getting incels dicks wet in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to Angry about it. They might be hour programs, they might be shorter.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll talk about it. And
We'll see.
also, I've made some other progress about some other things. Angry.
Oh. So, all right. So, good night to all you fine people out there. And
Thank
if you
you
like
so much for letting
podcasts,
us be on your device.
yeah. If you like podcasts, also there's a bunch of stuff if you search Angry Aussie Podcast. But we'll see you again soon, probably Thursday night, in fact. But look after yourselves in the meantime, and we'll say bye